Hi everyone, this is Professor Boucher. Today we're going to be going over inventory costing systems under a perpetual system. So what exactly are we going to be talking about? Well, if we think of someone like Amazon or Walmart, they're going to go ahead and have inventory systems. When we go ahead and we purchase something, their inventory immediately updates and it knows that they just sold something. Now, part of an inventory system lets them know what they have on hand. The other part of it lets us know what the cost of each one of those items are. So when we're looking at them, a business has several choices in which inventory costing system they can use. The three main ones that we're going to see are FIFO. FIFO is first in, first out, meaning whatever the cost of that first item that came in was, is the cost we're going to recognize when it was sold. The second one is LIFO, or last in, first out. So whatever the cost of the most recently purchased item is, will be the cost that we will recognize as the expense. The third way is going to be called specific identification. In specific identification, we allocate the cost to something individually. Now, this is pretty hard to do if it's something that's not unique. So this would be something like, say, a car that has a unique VIN number. So a dealer or a manufacturer can assign a specific cost to a specific vehicle. Now today, let's go ahead and work on the LIFO system. So again, we're going to be working on the perpetual LIFO system. And LIFO stands for last in, first out. Here we have several transactions that occurred over a period of time, and we're going to recognize them in order as they occur. Now, some transactions are purchases, some transactions are sales, and we're going to see that recognized in the different columns. Let's go ahead and get started here. The first one that I'm going to have is my beginning inventory. This what starts us off. So our date here is going to be 1/1. I'm going to go ahead and put a slash through the boxes that we're not going to use. So for this one, since it's our beginning inventory, it wasn't part of a current purchase or a sale. It just lets us know where we're starting from. So we are going to have 90 units at $12 each. The next transaction that we had on 3/15 was a purchase. So this was on 3/15. I'm going to see that I have a purchase, which was 140 units at $14 each. There was no sale associated with these, and that leads us to our ending inventory. Now, the ending inventory, we're still going to have what we started with, but now we have the next items as well. We're going to keep them in order of how they showed up at our warehouse. So when I opened the doors to my warehouse, I had 90 items at $12. Then I purchased an additional 140 units at $14. This is going to be important when we start to sell them. So that next transaction here on 4/1 is a sale. I'm going to recognize it's occurring on 4/1. It's not part of a purchase, so I'm putting a slash through it, but it is part of a sale. So I said a little while ago, putting them in order of how they came into our warehouse is going to be important when it comes time for sales. And now we're going to see why that is. Since we're using LIFO, we're going to start assigning costs from the newest to the oldest. So we sold 100 units, and my newest units were at $14 a piece. So when I look in my warehouse, what do I still have? Well, I had those original units, those 90 of them, at $12. And now I sold 100 of my 140. So I've only got 40 units left at $14. Moving on to our next transaction that occurred on 6/15. This was another purchase. So we purchased 200 units at $15 each. There's no sale associated with it, so I'm going to put a slash through it. And now, again, we're going to go ahead and keep this in order. The newest items are going to go at the bottom. So we've got our 90 units at $12. We've still got 40 units at $14. And now I've got 200 units at $15. The next transaction that we had occurred on 9/1. And that's going to be a sale. So there's no purchase associated with it. And we sold 230 units. So what we're going to do again, we're going to start from our newest units here at the bottom and allocate them to our oldest. So with 230 units, the first one that I have, I can allocate 200 of these units at $15. And next, we're going to allocate from our 40 units. So we're going to do the 30 at $14. I'm going to put a little line under here and just make sure I have a tally to make sure that I have sold all, going back up to the list, recognize the 230 units, and yes, we've got 230 down here. So what is that going to leave me? Well, I still have my 90 oldest units at $12. And now the 40 units that were right here, I sold 30 of them. So I'm only going to have 10 left at the $14. Go ahead and scroll down. The next transaction occurred on 10/20. And this was another sale. So I'm going to cross out the purchase section. And we sold 40 units. Now, when I look over here again, we're going to allocate them from the newest to the oldest. So we're going to take those 10 units at $14. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my little line over here, knowing that I need to come up with a total of 40 units that I sold. So I sold 10. I know I've got to come up with another 30. When I look at my stuff over here, we see that all 10 of those are gone. That means that other 30 is going to be coming from right here at the $12. So we've got 30 units at $12. What's that going to leave me? Well, I've got rid of all of my 10s down here, and now I've gotten rid of another 30 of our 90. So that's going to leave me 60 units at $12. My last transaction on 12/1 is a purchase, where we purchased 120 units at $17. There's no part of a sale associated with it, so we can put a cross mark through it. Now, I still have my units that were left over, those 60 of them, at $12. And now I brought in an additional 120 at $17. Now this is asking us two things at the bottom. One, what is our cost of goods sold? And two, what is our ending inventory? We're going to find each of these a little bit differently. So let's start with our ending inventory. With the ending inventory, I only need to look in my last box here. In essence, this tells me what I still have in my warehouse. So I'm going to go ahead, multiply these across, and see what we have. So we've got 60 units at $12, and that's going to equal $720. The next one we have is 120 units at $17. This means I have $2,040. We're going to go ahead and add these together, and we get $2,040. $760. Now this $2,760 right here, this represents my ending inventory. So I'm going to bring that right down to my cost of ending inventory, $2,760. There's going to be a little bit more work that goes into the cost of our goods sold. We're going to have to go back to each time we sold something, come up with the costs for each of those items, and then add them all together. So let's take a look at how that works. All right, so my first one here, we had 100 units at $14. That means we're going to have a cost here of $1,400 total cost. Now for the next one here, we have 200 units at $15, which means we're going to have a cost of $3,000. And next, we're going to go ahead and take our 30 units at $14, and that's going to give us a cost of $420. So together on the 9/1 sale, we have total costs of $3,420. We're going to do the same process down now on 10/20. So our 10 units at $14, that's going to be $140. And our 30 units at $12 is going to equal $360. It's going to give us a total cost here of $500. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and grab a highlighter here so that we can go ahead and highlight them. Now we have to go ahead and take all of these, our 1,400, our 3,420, and our $500, and we need to add these all together to go ahead and come up with our cost of goods sold, $5,320. All right, and that's how we would go ahead and complete this cost of goods sold and ending inventory using the perpetual LIFO system. Now, if we were to do this using FIFO, it would actually be reversed. Each time that I had started from the bottom and worked my way up, for a sale, I would actually be starting from the top and working my way to the bottom. Other than that, it's the same process. So I hope to see you again soon.